You might need to boil a lot of water. Maybe you should bring some more in.
Yeah, you better not break the news to me now that we're having a home birth. All right.
This is so weird.
Why is it weird?
Ratio is weird.
Oh, like my waist?
But I feel like we should be sitting more like up like this. Oh, but then your head's cut off. No, don't eat. Now your teeth are gonna be orange. It's eating Cheetos.
You have to do a blooper reel.
That is not any better. That's good, that's good. So it has been 3 months since that last clip that you guys just watched, because I'm probably going to be putting that in there. This is her now, in the same outfit that we brought her home in. She fits it now. She's such a big girl. So, I'm not sure how we're going to put this full video together yet. So, let's just start with the story, and then we can figure out how we'll put it together later.
We have 3 minutes to tell the story because I have to go pick up pizza.
We cannot tell it in 3 minutes.
Well, you can at least cut it.
Okay. I was having consistent, very, very light contractions. And I've never had that before without going into labor immediately. I've never had any fake labor. So when that kicked in Saturday night, I thought maybe it was the real deal. So we dropped the kids off with his parents and then went home, and things started pettering out, which we had a crazy weekend, so I think my body realized it was too tired to go into labor, and that's why it stopped. What are you laughing at?
No, it's just true.
You're laughing. It's not funny though. What's funny about it?
I don't know. No.
Okay. So anyway, by the time morning rolled around, nothing was going on. I had a couple of really strong ones that woke me up in the middle of the night, but after that, it was totally over. So the next day, I started in on the castor oil.
Saturday? So it's a Saturday now?
No, this is Sunday.
Sunday. You cut off a whole bunch of
I did.
like guest time, like at the people's house and parents' house. So.
They don't care about that.
You don't care about that?
So the next day, Sunday, I started in on the castor oil, and things were on and off for a bit. She's pulling my hair. Things were on and off for a bit. We went for a walk. His parents kept the kids so I could just relax and have a quiet day and let my body rest from what I had been doing the previous night. Then I took more castor oil.
It was a nice day. Like, it was, as far as the labors have gone, it was probably my favorite because we had the most time just together in our house. Like previous labors, you had been at your mom's house, and we really didn't have a good setup at our house. We were in a dry cabin or we were house sitting. And so this was like the first time we really got to be just together, just ourselves in our own space. Yeah, that Sunday was like, it was really nice. Since we got to spend some time together.
I wasn't even in labor yet, so you can't really count that. But
it was very important though, because you got to rest.
Yes.
And just relax, be mentally and physically ready for the rest of the labor.
So then...
Cut.
What?
Pizza's ready. That was a perfect place to cut.
We'll be back.
Back, baby.
We are back after a nice little delicious pizza break.
15 minutes
Oh, her bow. Hold
later.
on. It's cute. Okay, it's just cute. The little bit of mirror kind of annoys me, but I think it was in the last shot too. I'm not sure. Alright, where did we leave off?
Relaxing Sunday.
Sunday. And then this is where Samuel's big part of the day. No day can be about me, even if I'm in labor. No, he had to have a haircut. I wasn't actually in labor yet, but while I was cutting his hair that evening, it was probably around 7-ish, I started having super light contractions again.
Yeah. So we talked about getting the kids. If this wasn't going to be real labor, we didn't want to have our kids with one of our parents, just not be able to see them and spend the night with them. So we were like, after I was going to take a shower, clean up from a haircut, we were like, oh, we text my mom, like, oh, we might come up and get the kids soon. Nothing's really happening. And then it started picking up a little bit more. This is about 8:30 to 9 now.
Your mom was about to bring the kids down, and you texted her, like, hold off. Let's just see where this is going, because the contractions are kicking in again, stronger. I was just lying on the couch at this point, practicing the focusing on an object through a contraction. I was looking at our winter lights, and just, like, really... Oh, there's the light. Get through the contraction. But the crazy thing was, the contractions were only 16 seconds.
Yeah.
It was so weird, and I was so frustrated. They were coming every minute. And so I still didn't think I was really in labor. They were starting to get painful, but I didn't think I was really in labor because they were only 16 seconds. And that seemed more like the false labor or piggyback contractions, where the baby's just not in the right position, and it needs, your body's trying to move it into the right position so labor can actually happen, is what I had in my head. How medically accurate that is, I don't know. But I do know piggyback contractions aren't super productive, because I had those with Oliver, and I was working with the doula, and she was really helping me get rid of those so we could have long, you know, a minute-long contraction, so that it's actually a productive contraction, not like a 16-second contraction, but every minute. So I was getting worn out, so I ended up going to take a bath, probably after like an hour and a half, so about 9:30ish.
Yeah, about 9:30 to 10.
I went to take a bath. They got a little bit longer, like 30 seconds, but they were still coming every minute, and it was just so weird. Like, I just still don't even understand, because it was just weird. I don't know. Oh, really? So I remember being in the bath thinking, like, if this is not really labor, I am in trouble, because this is awful. It was really just a totally different labor experience, having those kind of contractions and not having a break, because even though the contraction was like only 30 seconds, it hasn't fully released before the next one would start. So I felt like I wasn't getting a break at all, or able to catch my breath. So at that point, I got out. My mom and my friend were on their way. They were going, I still didn't think I was really in labor, but they were on their way just to be like, help me figure out what was going on. But they were taking a long time to show up, because we live far out of town. They live far out of town on the other side. So it was taking a while for them to show up, and in that time I called my midwife, and she said, it's your third baby. Third babies are tricky. You might want to come in sooner than you feel like you should come in, because you never know with a third baby. So at that point I was like, I need to go, because if this isn't labor, they need to give me medication to make it labor so I can be done. That's what I was feeling like. And so Samuel went out, he started the car. Here, you tell your side of like what was going on. Because at this point I was in a lot of pain. I was like crawling up the walls, is what people call it. Like, it was transition, but I did not realize I was in transition. I still did not think I was actually in labor.
Yeah, because Allie, it had been a couple years since Oliver and Hazel, so I was used to like their longer, drawn out labor, and Allie was like, I want to have a natural birth, and I was trying to reassure, like, it's not, you can take the medication if you need the medication, you need an epidural, you can get that, but she was pretty set on having a natural birth with oral, and so I was trying not to let her rush herself out of the house, and so I went out, I started the car. I still had to finish my time card from the week, so I was like trying to sign on to on my work account and work on my time card and tidy up the house because I wanted a clean house, and just doing things to like calm her down a little bit. She was getting pretty worked up. You're like clenching your teeth. I feel like a little bit more. Like
I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah. You were not like breathing through the stuff very well.
That's when my mom and my friend showed up.
Yeah. So I was like finishing up stuff around the house. Her friend took over, who's been through a lot of births herself, and I was able to start calming Allie down. And I was like, this is good. So I sort of started slowing down a little bit. I think I even had my hospital bag packed.
packed some stuff for you ahead of time, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So.
Like, I've got time. Like, she has another 8 hours.
Yeah. So they were helping me through, and the thing is I changed when they showed up because their presence was calming for me, and she helped me with some other positions that I think also reduced the pain a little bit. So he even has said, like, you changed when they showed up. Like, you were a lot calmer through everything.
Which, looking back, sort of makes sense. Because I think by the time they showed up, you were probably through transition, more or less. Like, I've heard transitions, like, the really intense hard part.
I did. I calmed down. It was still super intense, but at that point I was saying, I want to go to the hospital. You guys need to take me to the hospital. My mom, she didn't say anything because she didn't want to be pushy, and maybe she should have. She saw me in labor with the other two, and she was like, oh, she's in labor. She's like far along. She could tell. My friend had never been to one of my births before, and she was saying, not going to tell you to not listen to your midwife, but you're not acting like you're in transition yet. You're calm, and knowing that I didn't want to have an epidural, she was saying, the longer you stay home, the less time you'll have at the hospital to cave to that. And Samuel was also kind of trying to push that way, so I don't want to say like people were pushing me and not respecting what I say, because I don't mean that at all. They were just like, trying to encourage me to get the best experience that I was hoping for.
Because you had like your birth plan. You told us we had worked through together how we had wanted the birth to go. And so I wanted like Allie to know, we can go to the hospital, we can get you the medications, but this is how you wanted to do it, and you're in a calmer mental state, so let's just stay here for a little bit longer since you're coping with it now. Because this is what she had told us ahead of time. And so we were trying to support her and her wishes. We all know stuff is going to change once you're in the process, but Allie was doing awesome. Yeah, you were doing so well this time.
The next time I say, I want to go to the hospital, I'm ready.
We'll believe you.
They'll believe me, because at that point they're like, 2 more contractions. Let's go through 2 more contractions.
Yeah, you were getting worked up a little bit more. I was like, 2 more and we'll cave. 2 more and we'll cave. And so
my water broke on that first contraction. Yeah. And everyone was like, uh-oh. Because my water had never broken by itself before. Yeah. So I was like, I'm a lot further along than we thought I was. Okay, the other weird thing, I felt no pressure at all through the whole process until right about now.
Because that's what we thought was like, we'd be feeling some more pressure at this point. Because I think with Hazel, that was
pressure
huge.
For hours.
It was just like pressure but no progress. And there was no pressure with Laurel. And it was like everything in our mind was pointing towards just exhausting labor, because it was short, intense contractions, hardly a break between them, not really long that you like with the other two, and no pressure. And so it was like everything, all experiences we had to this point were,
this is fake and not real.
It's just
what's going on with my body.
Yeah. So we were going into we were switching to, let's get her to the hospital, get her some medications, get her some rest, and then we can pick up labor in the morning or something like that.
And medications being like
an epidural or something.
No, in my head I was like, they need to give me medication to make this real labor.
Oh, okay.
Like long contractions. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. They need to give me meds to make this real, because I don't want to start all over from 0 again.
But yeah, and then so at that point we were about to take her water broke, and it's sort of set everything going.
I rushed to the bathroom after my water broke because I was in denial. I was like, maybe I just peed myself on accident. And while I was in the bathroom, I had a contraction and I crossed my legs, and I didn't realize until retelling this story, that's when I first felt pressure.
Their sense of urgency just went through the roof immediately.
It was 0 to 60.
Yeah, and so she's like, get stuff in the car. We need to go right now. And I was like, okay. Now this is actually...
They're like, don't get the rest of her clothes. Just go. Go. And so I'm trying to put my boots on because it is January in Alaska. It was very cold outside. I am wearing a dress, have water dripping down my legs into my boots. It was so gross. My coat doesn't close all the way. I get to the car, which we do not have a garage. Like I said, Samuel had the car started though, thankfully.
Like an hour at that point.
I had another contraction and I like crossed my legs again, and they were like, get in. No, I am not moving. Do not push me into the car. It was not gonna happen. So after I had that contraction, then I got into the car. I went to like just sit in the back, and they're like, no, you need to lie down. You cannot sit upright and have extra pressure pushing on that baby. So I don't know when he did, but he took the car seats out of the car at some point. Thankfully.
Yeah.
He had like grabbed blankets and pillows, and I had no idea this was all going on, but it was like a nice little bed set up for me in the back. So I was like lying down, there's blankets and pillows everywhere.
And so your friend got in the car with you, and your mom was running around trying to find her keys or her phone. I don't know what it was. I was like, I'm sorry, go in your own car, we have to leave right now. And so I got on the road and I start driving, and
I was still in the driveway. We were still in the driveway when I said, I think the baby's coming, guys.
Division.
Wait, no, you missed the big part. Something that like really sticks in my mind a lot, so that's why I want to recount it. I'm lying down, we're still in the driveway, and I say, I think the baby is coming, like right now. Everyone's trying to reassure me, you're safe, the baby is gonna come in God's time, don't worry about it, you're fine, let's just keep breathing. Samuel's backing out of the driveway. He was like, no, I really think the baby is coming now. And so my friend was like, well, I'll check. And she was like, Samuel, put the windows down. So I think she was trying to
cool it off and slow you down.
Slow me down.
Yeah.
Slow the labor down, because she could tell like the baby was like right there. 2 minutes later, she was like, put the windows up, put the windows up. The baby is coming. Samuel was on the phone with my mom at that point, trying to help her get into my phone.
I told the midwife when we had talked 45 minutes before that we're gonna wait at home and give her a call when we left. We hadn't even had a chance to get on the phone and call her, and we had left Allie's phone home in the scurry of it all. So her mom was trying to find her phone, because I forgot that I had the midwife in my phone from previous births. And so I was trying to on the phone with her mom, who was looking for her keys.
Trying to break into my phone, which she knows the password, but she just was typing it in wrong or something. I don't know what was going on.
I was cracking up, and eventually there's all the drama with her trying to hold the baby in, and then her friend telling me to pull over, and I just said, I gotta go. I think I put the phone down, because I had to pull over and put the windows up and turn the heat on. And so I just put the phone down. I'm completely ignoring the phone now, because Laurel's being born. This is all going on.
Her head was out before he had even pulled over.
Yeah.
I was actively trying to hold her in, and her head was coming out anyway. So we got pulled over. I started panicking. Had scary flashbacks to Oliver. His head came out, and then he got stuck, and his oxygen was cut off. So I was just worried that was going to be happening to her. But my friend was just telling me, it's okay. She's pink. Her oxygen's not cut off. You can wait until your next contraction, and then we'll push her out.
And she's here. That's always the first thing that's oh, she's here.
Yeah. So we waited for the next contraction. She came right out, easy as anything. Not really. Got back on the phone with my mom. Baby's here.
I think she called. Yeah, she called back, and she's still fighting the phone. I think she's like, I can't get in. And I was just like, oh, well, the baby's here now anyway. She's a little bit worried, make sure everyone's okay. It's cold outside. We're on the side of the road. I don't even think I got in touch with Chris, your midwife, at that point yet.
Not yet.
Because we were on the road.
So, because we were, yes. So the baby was born. The placenta came out again. Not again. The placenta started coming out quickly after that. So we delivered the placenta. And then because it was wintertime and really cold, doing skin to skin was super important, because she's wet, obviously. It's winter in Alaska. I wonder what the temp was. Maybe we should look up what the temp was. It was in the negatives, I'm pretty sure.
It was cold. Yeah.
So we were doing skin to skin, loading her up with blankets. trying to get her to nurse, making sure she was breathing. We live pretty far out. You don't go down our road unless you have a reason to be there, basically.
Because it's 12:30 at this point, right?
12. Okay, so my mom showed up at 12. My water broke at 12:30. She was born about like 12:45.
Yep.
Because we probably got in the car about 12:40.
So yeah, we're parked on the side of the road. No one has passed us the whole time. We've seen nobody else on the road, which is, it's normal. It's 12:45 in the morning in January, so.
Yeah, there's no one out. One car comes past, and then they stop behind us, and Samuel's watching them clip. My friend is trying to help me get her to latch and make sure she's warm, and telling Samuel, like, don't drive yet. We're not ready for you to drive yet. And Samuel's like, oh, they're backing up. They're coming to check on us. We have to go.
I'm not about to scar some innocent good Samaritan for life.
Yeah. So he starts driving off. We get on the road. He calls the midwife and says, so change of plans. The baby's here.
She gets the ER crew like ready at the door.
We make it to the ER. We take one picture in the car. I wish we had taken more and had nicer things, but there was no way. It was just crazy.
My hair looked great.
The hair does look good in the picture. Yes, they transfer me to one of the hospital beds outside. It was, that was cold. Get up to the room, and that's when more complications started up for me. So I ended up having a hemorrhage. I lost a lot of blood. She was born in the car, so we couldn't really push on my uterus to expel all of the rest of the blood. So it was just kind of like clotting and like filling up with blood instead of contracting. It wasn't able to contract.
Are you so tired?
If you change your diaper, I'll finish telling the story. I was not able to contract and stop the bleeding from the wound inside of the uterus. So they ended up giving me a ton of different medications. They were like shoving medications in my mouth. They were doing shots in each leg, I think. They were like putting in an IV on the side and drawing blood samples on the side, like all at the same time. They had to do a lot of like pushing on the stomach and reaching and scooping out stuff, and it was the worst experience of my life. That was horrible. That was the most pain I've ever been in. Once they started doing all that work on me, I had to put Laurel down, and Samuel took her, and the nurses were all looking at her over on the side of the room. But I was in too much pain to be able to hold her. Once I was stable, but I was still having lots of shakes and shivers, and a fever was the side effect of one of the medications, so I was freezing, and they took my heated blanket away though because I had a fever, and it was just a long time before I was able to hold her. And then they ended up having to give me 2 transfusions.
That's why we're buddies.
That's why you're buddies, because you got the golden hour.
We got the golden hour.
I don't even know how to like explain the trauma of like everything that happened.
You're like out of it. Like you were hardly coherent. You were not even coherent, I would say. The doctors were monitoring her as she sort of was crashing slowly. And so they tried the medications first, and then they went with the IVs. And so it was like a little bit of a scramble. There were people like she was saying, doing all the poking and jabbing and all that. It was like I never felt like they lost control, like you were just in a crash, but it definitely got a little bit worrisome there for a little bit because you were like pale and lethargic, and it was just did not look good.
So that's why they ended up giving me the first transfusion, and I was getting better, but still not with it, really. I mean, yeah, I was just like in a daze. Wasn't even registering what was going on or where my baby was. Like, I couldn't focus. Like, I heard things, but I didn't process them. So then they gave me the second transfusion, and that really helped so much. And then I started feeling better, and I was like, oh, I can talk again. I was not ready to hold her yet. I was too weak to hold her. I remember finally texting my best friend and my sister-in-law, and I was like, my phone is really heavy, I gotta put it down, but the baby's here. And I sent the picture of us in the car. Anyway, my mom stayed in the hospital with us for a long time. She was taking care of me. He was taking care of the baby at that point. Until I was fully back with it and able to take care of her and nurse her again and like all that stuff. So then we were all back on top of it.
We were like, surely
Another night there.
surely Laurel was going to be smallest of them all. And she was not. She was bigger than Hazel, right? She was right between Hazel and Oliver.
She was 9'1". I was
Yeah.
convinced she was going to be the smallest baby.
I know.
I was convinced. I don't know. I tried so hard. She was still a big baby, but she didn't get stuck, and that was a huge blessing.
It was crazy. Just like the other babies, an hour after she was born, she like pick her head up and she was like looking around. It was, it's so funny. So healthy, strong, and absolutely the sweetest of the three. She's so calm. Like I don't even know if she hardly cried that whole first like part. She just literally slept.
She hardly cries now.
Yeah, she's tired. She's rubbing her eyes.
She's tired right now. That's where we are now. I'm so glad that we finally have this film because I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. I'm gonna go put her to bed. Say goodnight. Say bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Oh wait, we missed the whole funny part about the phone. Hold on, can we just restart the whole thing? I think it'll be better.